So today we will talk about Unit 4 in your book, which is Cultural Context and Translation, writing about cultural challenge. And cultural challenge is one of the most challenging things that a translator face when translating, especially when we talk about literature or religious translation. And most of the critiques in translation go to these type of translations. Okay, so because literal translation has lots and lots of cultures that a translator needs to take care of when translating, a critic also needs to understand these cultural in order to have the translator give a
دكتورة عفوا الصوت بقطع كثير
better
بعرفش إذا عندي ولا عند الجميع.
translation if they think that these cultures translate a proper way. Okay, so let's see. عند الجميع بقطع؟
دكتورة قطعت.
لارا ميسا ياسمين عندكم بقطع الصوت؟
مس راحوا إذا
عارف شو بدنا نساوي؟ هلا ممكن الفيديو يكون منيح وما يقطع ف bear with me. اوكي خلونا نشوف throughout اذا في اشياء عم بتقطع مش فاهمينها بنعيدها مش مشكله. اوكي يعني الماده مش كثير كبيره. It's a small chapter. Okay, so don't worry, you can easily understand it. All right, so culture and translation. So culture and translation always intersect. Okay, شو يعني intersect؟ دائما بيدخلوا مع بعض. So you can't translate unless you translate culturally, and culture always affects how you translate. Okay, and this is why, because it always intersects with the linguistic nuances of a language. So a language has so many elements that are culture specific to it, and that especially when they are culture specific, whether we're talking about vocabulary, terminologies, or whether we talk about the grammar and structure of a language. Okay, there are lots of societal norms that play within a language or a culture, which also may affect how a source language is translated into a target language. And there are also historical and religious contexts that are involved within a language or a culture that also makes it difficult to translate, but it's also an important part of a language. Okay? So still لسه صوتي بيقطع ولا قادرين تسمعوا منيح؟
لا تمام يا مس.
لا منيح.
Okay, good. All right. So culture has different elements, of course, because it's a whole culture. There are people living within this culture. So there are so many different elements within this culture, okay? Including language, customs, beliefs, social practices, and all of these affect how the translation will be done. Yani هون we're still talking about the translator, okay? We didn't cross into the critic side. We're still talking that when a translator with a translation that has culture-specific elements, they need to understand that a culture involves everything about a language. It involves the language itself, the customs, the beliefs, and the social practices within this culture. So they have to take into consideration all of these in order for them to translate properly and in a way that the target audience will accept this translation. In translation, cultural factors are very important factors in how the meaning is conveyed from the source text to the language text. And this is what we said before, that whenever a translator wants to translate any piece of text or any text from one language into the other, they have to take into consideration all the cultural nuances and the linguistic nuances that are embedded in a specific culture. Okay? So recognizing the impact of culture on translation is very important. So we said that a translator cannot translate unless he or she takes into account the cultural nuances of a language, and that the cultural nuances affect how a translator translates from the source text into the target text. Okay? So these are some important understanding of the connection between culture and translation. So cultural nuances in a language, they are, so this is not in your book, ولكن it's for you to understand what do I mean by a cultural nuance. And cultural nuances are words, phrases, and beliefs that differ between countries and regions. Okay, so everything that is embodied in a country, okay, these are what we call cultural nuances. So it's what makes a country different from another country in terms of culture. Okay. Yeah. Language is deeply embedded in culture and linguistic children. So, Sahar, can you please read this example and tell us what do you understand from it?
The Arabic phrase عذرا سيدي translates to excuse me sir. Here the honorific سيدي signified respect and politeness ingrained in Arabic communication. It reflects a cultural norm of acknowledging authority and age through language. When translating such
culturally
when translating such culturally nonsense expressions into English,
it's not wait Sahar, it's not nonsense. Nonsense means مش مالوش معنى.
Nuanced
exactly.
expressions into English where explicit honorific are less common. The translator faces honorific. A dilemma. Do I stop?
Okay, stop.
الخط صغير.
Stop. What do you understand from all of this?
The difference between the Arabic language
in terms of cultural nuance, what do you understand?
في لها اسم لحظة اللي هي كيف صيغة المنادى في كل culture أو how we there's a English
it's written here, respect
and politeness. Yes.
Okay, so these are honorific sentences that are embedded in the Arabic culture. Okay, so it's a sort of politeness and respect that we as Arabs in our culture we كيف نقولها? We put these type of sentences on a pedestal. Okay, and they are very important for us. Respect and politeness in our everyday life, especially when we talk about family. Okay, and when we talk with people that we don't know, strangers. Okay, all right, كملي سحر.
Maintaining the intended respect without burdening the text requires strategic linguistic choices. For example, excuse me, sir, is a straightforward translation, but it lacks the depth of the original Arabic honorific. The English language does not inherently carry the same formal distinction. A more subtle translation that flows with the English norm could be, excuse me, please.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So in our culture, as I said, we respect and honor people that we don't know, people that are older than us, people in our same family. Okay. So this is embedded in our culture. So these are cultural nuances. So when a translator wants to translate عذرا سيدي from the Arabic context to the English context, okay, which is less formal, translating it as excuse me, sir, is acceptable. All right, it's acceptable, but the English language doesn't use this type of sentence, okay? What they use the most is excuse me, please. They don't have this very strict adherence to respect and politeness that we have. So here the translator should stop and think, should I translate it, excuse me, sir, or should I translate it, excuse me, please? Which will be more resonant with the target audience. Okay, both are correct. However, which one is the best to use in order for the people who will read it or hear it, they will not go, strange, but okay. All right. Instead, okay, that's it. I know, I understand. So acknowledging, yes.
لاحظت إشي مشابه مثل هيك في المسلسلات الكورية اللي بترجموها من الكورية للعربية. في عندهم هم للمخاطب إنه ممكن عشان الاحترام لأي حدا أكبر منهم يحكوا له أخي أو إشي. إحنا ما في عنا هاي الإشي. فاللي بعدين بحذفوها. نسيت شو بيحكوا لها هو لهذا، بس إنهم بحذفوها بحذفوها.
عندهم كثير في الثقافة الآسيوية بشكل عام إنه الاحترام زينا، حتى احترام عندهم كثير أزود من اللي عندنا. أي حدا أكبر منهم بالعمر بس لعمر معين، مش يعني كلمة سومباي بتيجي لعمر معين أكبر منهم بيكون، بعدين بصير يا سما يا بالياباني بيكون سما مثلا أو إشي تاني بيحطوه مع الاسم. Okay, so they have different level of respect. Okay, so yes, you're correct. طيب لما يترجموها يا سحر كيف بترجمها المترجم عادة؟ شو بحط أخي؟
أنا شفت مرات حطوا أخي، مرات لا حطوا الاسم اللي نادوا عليه من دون هي اللي هي. نعم.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it depends on how the translator is well informed within the مثلا Asian culture. Okay, how they address themselves. بس برضو حتى لو بده يجي ترجمها بالعربي, if he puts brother, for us brother means أخ, which is أخ from the same father and mother. Okay, so it will be awkward for an Arab audience to hear the word brother and understand directly that it doesn't mean brother from my mother and father, but brother as a respectful word. Okay, so one of the translator or one of the translation that you heard was foreignization, which used brother, and one was domestication, which didn't use any type of honorific because the audience wouldn't understand the exact meaning of it. Okay, so it depends all on the translator and how versed he is in both culture. So acknowledging these culture nuances and understanding their implications for linguistic choices is fundamental aspect of translation. Okay, it's very important that a translator understand perfectly cultural nuances. This goes beyond linguistic accuracy to ensure that the translated text capture the intended tone and societal nuance. كل هذا الحكي يدل على إنه the translator when translating from a source text to a target text need to understand the culture first of the source text, then of the target text, and he has to adapt this text or translated text, or he has to understand which strategy will go better for the target audience. Okay, so let's have a quick pick-me-up translation exercise, okay, so that we start to understand more about how we translate quickly. Right, these are very easy words, okay? Give me the counterpart in Arabic. Don't translate, but give me what we usually say, what we normally say as Arabs when we use these words. Don't think translation, think naturalization, okay? Right, I'll give you 2 minutes, no more, you don't need more than that, okay? So let's translate the following words. Yalla.
بس احنا يعني نترجمهم كيف نحكيهم ديلي، كيف كل يوم نحكيهم بالعربي.
يس يعني قلت لك ما تفكري ترجمه، فكري كيف احنا بنحكيهم عاده.
اوكي.
Okay. يلا. Let me hear you. يا سحر.
Please لو سمحت أو إذا سمحت thank you is شكرا you're welcome العفو أو على الرحب والسعة.
خلص you're welcome العفو أو الرحب والسعة. All right, good job. يلا يا نور كملي.
and you're welcome وصلت صح؟
you're welcome. Excuse me أنت.
أوكي. أستميحك عذرا، أنا آسف أو أنا أعتذر، كيف حالك؟ وسعيد بلقائك.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. يلا ياسمين كملي.
Good morning صباح الخير. Good evening مساء الخير. Have a nice day يعني أتمنى لك يوم سعيد أو شيء.
Yeah, أتمنى لك أمسية سعيدة، أتمنى لك يوم سعيد. This is how we speak normally, right? So yeah, this is it. You see how you should translate? You should translate naturally. How we speak, how we say. Please من فضلك أو لو سمحت شكرا على الرحب والسعة، عذرا أنا آسف، كيف حالك؟ سررت بلقائك، صباح الخير، مساء الخير، أتمنى لك يوما سعيدا. Okay, so these are the natural ways that we use translation or that we translate to. Okay, so these are, it's not like cultural nuances, but these are politeness expressions that we have within every culture. Okay, maybe not to at the same degrees of politeness as other culture or other countries, but these are everyday politeness expressions. Okay. So we talked about the cultural nuances, linguistics nuances. Now we will talk about idiomatic expression and cultural references, because these are also very hard for a translator to translate, and it also poses problems for the critic also when he analyzes or she analyzes a translation to analyze it in a way that these idiomatic expressions, these cultural references, these cultural nuances are done in a perfect way. So idiomatic expressions and cultural specific reference, as I said, they give a challenge to the translation process. طيب, Noor, can you read this one, please?
Yes, the Arabic expression كما تدين تدان carries a cultural resonance that might not have an equivalent idiom in English. Translators must decide whether to adopt the expression to a culturally familiar English equivalent or provide an explanatory note. Considering the target audience's cultural familiarity, the literal translation, as you judge, you will be judged, fails to convey the cultural depth and resonance of the Arabic expression. A more appropriate equivalence in the English language could be, what goes around comes around.
Exactly. Okay. So, what do you understand, Yanur, from this example?
هلا كأنه المصطلح الموجود في العربي كأنه يعني هو بالإنجليزي شرح أكتر explanation.
Exactly.
As an explanation.
Yes, that's correct. So كما تدين تدان has a very deep resonance or nuance in the Arabic culture. It used to be very threatening at the time. Okay, it used to be people used to be killed because of such things that they do. And this كما تدين تدان, a translator needs to go make research and understand what this idiomatic expression means, what's the history behind this idiomatic expression, in order for him or her to do or to give a proper translation. So they have to think, if this idiomatic expression in Arabic has an equivalent in English, what is this equivalent? Okay, can I find it? If I can't find it, should I explain it? Should I give an explanation for it when I translate it? Okay, yes, Tahar.
كما تدين تدان نقدر نقولها in English karma will get you.
Karma will get you, yes, but karma, it's a new concept. Okay, so you could say that, but you have to explain what karma is, because karma, it's not an English word.
Okay, yeah.
فهمتي كيف؟ يعني not everyone will understand what
Yes.
karma is.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it's they understood it because they said it a lot. Okay.
They say it a lot, yes, but it's not embedded in the culture, in the English culture. Okay, so karma is from the Indian Asian culture in itself. Okay. All right, so cultural references, so idiomatic expression, we saw them. Cultural references are also complex to translate. So the challenge lies in preserving the cultural nuances while ensuring clarity. So you can refer to a specific time, a specific place, a specific thing in the culture of a country, but it doesn't mean that the reader will understand what this reference means. Okay? So Laura, can you read this example, please?
دكتورة شاشة التلفون عندي مكسرة مش واضح إشي.
طيب ماشي. Yasmin, can you read it?
The cultural reference ذكاء, which translates to ذكاء, has no direct English equivalent. A literal translation ذكاء might not convey the intended meaning to the English reader. إيش هاي؟
Judicious.
A judicious translator could opt for an explanatory note, or if context permits, adapt the reference to culturally relevant English analogy.
Okay, so نفس الشيء. Cultural references like the word zakat. If you go to an English speaking person and you say, we do zakat, he will like, what? What's zakat? Okay, so you have to give a reference to zakat. You have to add an explanation to it in the context. Venuti advocates for foreignization strategy when faced with the challenge of translating idiomatic or cultural references. Okay, so sometimes I, as a translator, am with Venuti, but sometimes I will put myself into the shoes of the people who will read the text, and I will say, I don't understand. Give me something. Okay, to our more specific or more explanatory about these things. What do you mean by using this expression or using this reference? Okay, so you have to strike a balance, you guys. For each one or anyone who wants to become a translator, they need to strike a balance between what should be translated as is and what should be adapted to the target language. All right, let's translate. This is more fun to translate. So these are idiomatic expressions. I put their meaning for you to understand. Just try to translate the idiom. Do not translate the meaning, just the idiom. I will give you 5 minutes. Okay, look at each idiom and try to translate it as best as you can. If there is an idiom in Arabic that is similar, use the idiom if you know it. If not, try to translate it in a way that is understood by, or that will be understood by a target audience. Okay? All right, 5 minutes, start. اللي بخلص يقول لي. متأكدة منهم يا سحر؟
مش كلهم some of it.
طيب كملي قبل ما يخلص الوقت، تأكدي منهم. Do not use Google Translate, but you can use search. Search the forums, ask the professionals.
بس في the grass is always greener on the other side. لا فهمت، قرأت معناها 36 مرة مش فاهمة شو بدها. الناس
وين
مناح
الgrass؟
هناك ولا الناس مناح هون ولا مواقفهم مش هيك، مش ظابطة بمخي.
عندنا مثل كتير مشهور في هذا يا ميسا.
ما أنا بحاول أتذكره إنه هو مثل مش إشي، يعني إنه هو يعني مش عارفة، مش جاي عارفة كيف، كلهم عرفتهم بس هاي الوحيدة.
طيب ما هو بدك هون بدك تعملي بحث. اوكي، هون بدك تدخلي على الفورums، بدك تسألي، بدك تشوفي ناس، بدك هون هذا دور المترجم. لما ما يعرف شيء مش لازم يستسلم من أول مرة، لازم يضل يفكر ويشوف ويعمل ويفتش ويبحبش ليطلع بشيء إنه خلص لا مش ملاقي، يس في شيء مقابل. وفي منهم بيستخدموا زي ما هن، في منهم ترجموا زي ما هن. So it could be إنه واحد منهم هدول الإديومز ترجم زي ما هو. Okay, let's hear. Alright, يلا يا سحر. Give me the first one.
في العربي الفصيح it's raining cats and dogs إنها تمطر أفواه القرب، لكن إحنا في العامي بنقول كب من الرب أو تمطر
بإيش هي؟
بغزارة. كب من الرب.
بتكب من الراب. أوكي.
في العربي الفصيح إنها تمطر كأفواه القرب، لكن في العامي كب من الرب أو إنها
كب من
تمطر
الراب.
بغزارة.
Yeah.
بريك ليج إحنا بنقولها
لا لحظة.
موفق.
one just one
أوكي.
أوكي يلا يا نور.
break a leg معناها حظا موفقا.
Yes. حظا سعيدا، حظا موفقا. Exactly. لارا. When in Rome. لارا سامعة؟ when in Rome اللي بعدها. طيب ميسة.
لا يا مس بدي اللي بعدها كنت. when in Rome do
أنا
as Romans do. اللي هي يعني لما تكون في بلد تتصرف زي أهلها، أو إنه خد زي طباعهم، ما تكونش مبينة كتير غريب.
اوكي بس شو فينا نستخدم؟
حط راسك بين الروس وقول يا قطاع الروس.
تفضلي
حط
بتقطع روس.
راسك بين الروس وقول يا قطاع الروس. Yes, this one is perfect يا سحر. نور كنت بدك تحكي إشي فيها هاي؟
كنت نفس ميساء بس طلعت غلط.
اوكي.
شكرا للتوضيح نور. دمرتيني يا نور.
عفوا.
اوكي يلا.
بس
the
احكي اللي بعدها،
early
أنا عارفة اللي
bird.
بعدها.
طيب احكي the early bird يا ميسة.
إحنا بنحكيها إنه من ساعة باع واشترى، يعني إنه بيطلع الصبح بدري
من ساعة؟
ربنا برزقه الأكثر.
هذا مثل؟
بيحكوا من ساعة باع واشترى، يعني بصحى بدري، بصحى كتير بدري، باخذ رزقه من بدري، يعني وبكون أكثر وفير أكثر.
عيديها للجملة.
من ساعة باع واشترى.
من ساعة من ساعة باع واشترى. اوكي yes that's good. all right ياسمين. don't judge a book by its cover.
لا تحكم على الكتاب من غلافه.
That's it. We don't have something like this, right? I've never heard anyone say anything that لا تحكم على الغلاف من على الكتاب من غلافه. في حدا سمع زيها أو غيرها بطريقة تانية؟ No. طيب. A picture is worth 1,000 words يا سحر.
الكلمة ب1000 معنى.
الكلمة ب1000 معنى. yes. اوكي. كيف نقولها بالعربي الفصيح؟ يس لارا.
أنا رفعت
لارا go ahead. ايه؟
أجاوب اللي بعديها أنا.
اللي بعديها اوكي. في لحظة إذا في الأفعال
مس هذيك اللي
أبلغ
هي الأفعال أبلغ من
من
الأقوال.
الأقوال. exactly. اوكي.
أنا فكرت إن actions speak louder than words، اللي هي الأفعال أبلغ من الأقوال. مش picture is worth 1,000 words.
ممكن تكون، ممكن it depends وين الكونتكست تبعها. ممكن أكون غلطانة it's fine. ممكن أنت اللي حكيتيه صح. أكثر صح مثلا.
لا أنا الغلطان.
لا ممكن.
لا مس إحنا الأصح صح. إحنا عشان أنا حكيت معاكي.
اوكي يلا يا لارا اللي بعدها. to kill two birds with one stone.
اللي هو بضرب عصفورين بحجر.
exactly. The grass is always greener on the other side.
ممكن الآخرون في وضع أفضل من وضعنا.
هذا شرح. right. ممكن يعني إذا ما لقينا له equivalent idiomatic equivalent ممكن yes.
في مثل بس ما بعرف إذا بركب 100%، اللي باكل العصي مش مثل اللي بعدهم.
اللي بياكل العصي مش زي اللي بعدهم.
نعم.
مش عارفة هذا المثل شو الكونتكست تبعه، بشو أجا.
يعني اللي في الجنة مش زي اللي في النار يعني.
إيه؟
يعني إنه اللي واقف مثلا في مطرح بتفرج على الثاني بيصير له إشي مش يعني مش نفس الفيلينج. فأنا إنه ممكن إنها تكون هاي، أو ممكن إنها تكون كتير بعيدة عنها.
ممكن ما بعرف. هلا هو الواحد شو لازم يساوي؟ لازم يعرف شو الكونتكست. شو يعني the grass is always greener on the other side? What is the historical context of this idiom? Where did it come from first? Okay. So in order to know how to translate it, we have to know what are the connotations behind this utterance. Okay. So, yeah, it could be anything. You need to go and check it out. So, action speaks louder than words. يلا يا نور.
الأفعال أبلغ من الأقوال.
Oh, that's the one يا ميساء. هذا هو يعني سحر اللي كان صحيح شو اسمه اللي حكته.
معلش يا مس، ما انت مس بصير وانا معاكي يعني بنزكها.
اوكي يلا يا ياسمين آخر واحدة. Every cloud has a silver lining.
لكل سحابة بطانة فضية.
Okay, which I have no idea why they translated it like this, but it's used like so every difficult situation has a positive
دكتورة علقتي.
Do you know any other idiomatic expression that can something here?
مس كان معلق الصوت.
معلق يا دكتورة، كان ما سمعناش ولا إشي من اللي قلتيه.
معلق. بقول إنه في إشي شبيه فيها، إذا باب بيتسكر في باب بينفتح تاني قدامه أو قدامك، فأظن في إشي هيك ممكن يكون
زي دايما بعد الضيق الفرج، انه بعد الغيوم ايش فضي، بتيجي زيها هيك.
يا ما بعد الضيق إلا الفرج، ممكن يكون إشي زي هيك. رب ضارة نافعة. نعم ممكن. Yeah, رب ضارة نافعة actually is the most relevant here. Okay, so yes, you see, it needs some research. It needs some squeezing of the memory of what we heard from our ancestors, from our parents, grandparents, friends. What do we know about this idiom? Okay.
دكتورة
Yes.
العشب هذا الجرينر on the other side، لقيت واحد بيقول لك طبيخ الجارة نوارة وطبيخ أهل الدار مرار.
طبيخ الجارة نوارة وطبيخ أهل الدار إيش؟
مرار.
مرار؟ حلوة يعني ممكن. Yes, why not? It could be. I mean, you have to go do a research on it, but it could be. This is very nice, Sahar. Okay. Perfect. So yes, it's almost as you said, yeah, Sabaya. So these are perfect one. Okay. Challenges in cultural translation. As always, as for any type of translation, there are always challenges. Okay. So we have what we call semantic challenge, and these are challenges on the word level. Okay. Can we find an equivalent to this word? Does it have lots of connotative meaning? Or how can we translate these connotative meaning into the target language context? Okay. Idiomatic expressions, of course, and this is one of the most difficult because it's culturally specific expression. Societal norms and taboos, and this we always face it a lot, especially when we translate in audiovisual translation. There are lots of norms, lots of taboos that cannot be translated into a culture, a target culture, because they are not permitted. Okay? Specialized context. These are technical terms, technical vocabulary, specialized vocabulary that are difficult to translate. So what's the job of a critic? In all of these challenges, a critic's job is to find and help the translator find the best way to translate these challenges in cultural translation. Okay? ليش؟ لأنه a critic's job is to give feedback to the translator, is to be a helping hand to the translator in order for the translator to become better at translating a text. Okay. So we have challenges. Of course, we should have strategies to overcome these challenges. So these strategies are either cultural adaptation. Yeah, Maisa, and what is cultural adaptation? يلا يا ميسا.
بلاش نهمس بالمحاضرة اللي فاتت لسه.
Exactly.
اللي هي
بدأت
التكييف
عبدالية
تبع
بالمحاضرة اللي فاتت.
التكييف للثقافة أثناء الترجمة، نكيفها أكثر ما تكون مش زي
Yes,
الفرن.
exactly. To adapt the cultural nuances from the source text into the target text. We have strategies of foreignization or domestication. Which one should we use? Should we keep the source text nuance, or should we adapt the source text nuance to the target text? Should we shift it? Consultation with native expert, and this is very, very, very important. As good as a translator is, he or she always need to go back to a certain type of expert in a language, a culture, a history, or whatever is related to the type of translation he or she is doing. Okay? Contextual annotation, and this is one of the jobs in the first three cultural critique and analysis of a critic, he or she can help the translator to develop his strategy skills. Contextual annotation is an important task and part of the job of the critic. And this is what you're going to do in the second activity, which you will take the translated version of someone else. You will take the analysis or the analysis of that person, okay? And you will look at it and you will give your input. You will give your feedback in using annotation. How do you use annotation? Through track change, through comments, through underlining, through highlights, okay? And this is the second activity that we will do next week, all right? The role of written critiques. So this is the job or the product of a critic. Okay, this is what the critic will provide at the end of a critique to the translator. So the role of the written critique, in improving translation. Feedback loop for translation or from translator. A critic's job is to give feedback for the translator. Was the strategy that the translator used good? How can we improve this sentence? Does the translator follow the foreignization or domestication strategy? And so on and so on and so on. Okay? Awareness of cultural pitfalls. But this is also the critic provides the translator with a sense of where the translator did something wrong in terms of transferring or transmitting cultural nuances. Okay? Encouraging reflective practice. It's a brainstorming between the critic and the translator. Okay? So it gives a translator, it helps the translator gain more understanding. All right. And finally, educational source for students. And I am happy that you as a student with your written critiques will be the first one in this course to give other students the opportunity to understand what a written critique is, which will be done in the last activity after the critic annotation. You will write as a last activity a written critique of everything, of your own translation, of your own analysis, and of the critic of your peer, okay? And you will come up with a full document called a written critique of your translation, okay? So it will be a good educational material for future students when they take this course, for them to understand what a written critique means. Cultural sensitivity, we go back to the culture. This is the main aim of this unit. It's all about culture. I'm not going to repeat everything, but what we need to understand in the cultural sensitivity of translation, or cultural sensitivity means that we must be aware of the taboos, of the religious references, of the culture-specific references that are embedded in a culture, okay? So avoid stereotypes, respect cultural nuances, consider diverse perspective, do not be strict, think outside the box, okay? Ethical consideration, of course, and engage in continuous learning. And this is your job as critics to follow these steps, okay? Always keep an open mind. Always think, why did the translator do this work in this way? Think, how can I help in making this translation better? Okay? Do not be negative. Always be positive critic. The last thing we will do is to translate and analyze. We have to keep on improving our skills as a critical analysis, people who critically analyze texts. Okay, so we have a historical fiction. I will give you only 2 minutes to translate this text, okay? So translate it into Arabic and think of everything we said, cultural nuances, strategies that we need to use, the challenges that we can face, okay? Do I use foreignization? Do I use domestication? Put yourself in the shoes of the target audience, okay? Yalla, 2 minutes, go. 30 seconds. All right, يلا يا سحر, give me your translation.
Historical fiction اللي هي خيال تاريخي as the sun set over the ancient city of Babylon. أحكي بالعربي ولا بالإنجليزي أول شيء؟
لا أعطيني الترجمة دغري.
بينما كانت الشمس تغرب فوق مدينة بابل القديمة، كانت عمارة تضم اللوحة الطينية قريبا من قلبها، لأنها تعلم ما تحتويه هذه الألواح من أسرار يمكنها أن تغير وجه التاريخ. طبعا أنا ترجمتها في مخي بس فيش معي ورقة وكلام.
I know يعني كل ما كان عندكم وقت كل ما كان you can refine your translation. Yes ياسمين.
بينما كانت الشمس تغرب فوق مدينة بابل القديمة، قامت أمارة بضم ألواح الطين لصدرها، وهي على دراية بأن الأسرار التي فيها يمكنها أن تغير التاريخ.
Okay, not bad ياسمين. يلا يا نور.
ومع غروب الشمس على مدينة بابل القديمة، تضم أمارة اللوحة الطيني قرب قلبها، عالمة أن الأسرار التي تحملها يمكنها تغيير مجرى التاريخ.
Not bad نور, بس do we say تضم قرب قلبها ولا لصدرها؟
وهي صدرها أصح.
Yes. So it's more natural, right? So this is what you need to focus on. All right?
بس في الأدب دكتورة بيحكوا تضمه بالقرب من قلبها. يعني مرات
I haven't heard that a lot. ممكن إنه مثلا محفور في قلبها. Okay? يعني we use this sentence بس تضمه إلى قلبها, تضمه إلى صدرها. We always hear it this way. Okay, so وبينما كانت الشمس تغرب فوق مدينة بابل القديمة، ضمت أمارة الألواح الطينية لصدرها، وهي على دراية بأن الأسرار التي تحملها يمكن أن تغير مجرى التاريخ. Alright. Now you have the original, you have the translated version. Take a minute and analyze the translation in comparison with the original. 1 minute, scribble down anything you want to say and let's go. 1 minute, think. What are the differences? What strategies were used? How can I, as a critic, think of helping to improve this translation? Okay, who wants to go? Who wants to tell me a little bit of how, as a critic, you will criticize such a translation? يلا نسمع. نفسي أوصل للأناليسيس وتكونوا نشيطين زي الترجمة. يلا يا ياسمين. يا سحر.
كنت بدي احكي، هو تقريبا حكينا هالكيتا يعني، واحنا نحكي حكينا واحده من الاناليسيس اللي هي close to her heart إنها كيف إن ترجمناها لصدرها. وإن the first sentence it's almost a literal translation. ما فيها تغيير إلا الادجكتيف تبعت the ancient city بابل القديمة في العربي. في
مالها الادجective.
in English it came before the noun. In Arabic it came after the noun.
This is the analysis. Give me the example. Why?
Yeah, and ضمت أمارة الألواح الطينية لصدرها. We said in English they started the sentence with a noun. In Arabic they started with a verb, and then because we in Arabic it's the natural way to translate to her heart لصدرها. It's not قريبا من قلبها, so we changed that. At the last sentence we just added in knowing. It comes like وهي تعلم أو وهي تعرف, لكن حطيناها almost وهي على دراية إنها she's knowing أزود من إنها تعلم. ممكن إنها في فروق في المعاني فيها. Hey.
Yes, perfectly. Knowing is a gerund. We changed the gerund because we don't have gerund in Arabic. We change it to وهي على دراية. To شو اسمه جار ومجرور. Okay. أضفنا the pronoun for emphasis because knowing goes back to أمارة, ولكن in Arabic we added the pronoun وهي. Excellent job. Bravo. This is how you do an analysis. Word for word. طبعا I'm going to show you doesn't compare with what you said. It's just a general thing. Okay, so as more specific, better is man. So this is translate. Remember that when you criticize the translation of your peers. Okay? All right, you see you in the next lesson. Okay?